Hey guys, WhiteFox1225 here with an ESO Saturday. So I've been sick for the past week, and that's why I haven't been uploading as many videos. But I'm really excited for this today's video, just because the NDA has actually just been lifted. So now I can just talk to you guys all about my beta experience and stuff like that. So that's really exciting. But yeah, like I said, I'm still pretty sick. So that if I sound weird, that's why. And I apologize for that. Hopefully I'll feel better soon, and I'm gonna try to make a video every day this week just to make up for how little I've been recording lately. But you know, I'll definitely be getting more videos up, and the show must go on. So I'll keep recording. And as much as I can. So yeah, so for today's episode, the NDA has finally been lifted, which is awesome. It was lifted like I think a couple weeks ago or last week for like media, so like IGN and some big YouTube channels like the Shoddycast got to say their thoughts. But today anyone can actually say anything. So in the comments, if you guys got to play the beta, make sure you tell me what you think. But yeah, today I'll just pretty much be going over everything that I thought of the beta, which I actually have a lot to say about it. But then we'll be going over pretty much what everyone else thought, just because I am going to try to focus on what I thought. But overall, the response has been, I would say, kind of on the negative side. So I'm going to talk to you guys about why that is, and it's kind of weird because this is a game that obviously we all really care about, and now that everyone can talk about it, they're kind of saying, not such great things. So we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to be doing the developer question of the week, and then we're going to be talking about the possibility of another giveaway, and we'll talk about that later. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. It's going to be a longer video just because I have so much to say about the beta. Yeah, but with that being said, let's just get into it. So, like I said, the NDA just got lifted. Really, it was just a matter of time, just because the media had already been able to do it, and it really just makes sense for ZeniMax. I mean, it's an old saying, any kind of advertising is good advertising, and it really is. I mean, if no one's talking about your game on YouTube or anything, I mean, it reflects poorly for people who already know about the game, but no one seems to be talking about it. But even for people who don't, I mean, how many times has something like pops up on the side of YouTube that you didn't know about? And it happens a lot. So really, they were kind of not using the advertising that I think they got for free, which was YouTube, and just people talking about it by word of mouth. So I think the NDA should have been lifted a while ago, but it finally has been, and we can actually talk about it now, which is awesome. So let me tell you guys about my beta experience. So I got into the beta 3 times, but I only got to play twice because the third time I wasn't around. But yeah, I got in. I think I probably played like probably 15 hours between the 2 betas I actually played. So let me just tell you guys what I think about it. I'm gonna be going like topic by topic, telling you guys what I think. So first, let's start with character creation. So character creation in this game is so detailed. I'd say maybe even possibly better than Elder Scrolls games. Definitely at least on par with the other Elder Scrolls games that are out. Really great character creation, and I'm really loving all the combinations you can do. Yeah, just really great. And I'm really loving it. There's some like sliders for things you'd expect, like hair color, things like that. But even like minuscule things, like I don't even know, like how high your chest is, how big your butt is, just crazy things, and really just a huge amount. So, if you have like a perfect character in your mind, you can really just tweak everything just to make it exactly as you see it, and that's so important. And I love character creation, and it's just so great that they have it in here, and it's so good. Yeah, so that character creation, definitely not a problem in the game, definitely not something that people have been complaining about, and definitely a plus in terms of, the game in general. So now let's talk about the graphics. So the graphics are just so amazing in this game, and I'm sure you guys know it. I think it might be hard to appreciate until you've actually played the game. I mean, we all know how good the graphics are, but in terms of how like lost you get in the world and how beautiful it is, I think you really have to play it. I mean, watching gameplay is one thing, but actually just running around the world looks so fantastic. I have to say, I think this is probably the best looking MMO that's ever been made, and I know that's a bold statement. I mean, I guess there might be things that compete with it, maybe PlanetSide 2, but then again, PlanetSide 2, it did have a lot of players, but it wasn't as big of a count, and it was still not great graphics, so I really think Elder Scrolls Online is maybe the best ever. And not only the graphics, but the art style is really great. I think the concept artist and just the artists in general did a great job. I love how the graphics, in a lot of MMOs, we get that cartoony kind of look. This is way more serious, and they definitely went for a more test look, which is awesome. Really some gritty graphics, which I love, and it feels like a lot more, Skyrim Skyrim kind of to me, which is really great. And the game wasn't always like that. If you look back to when we got the first screenshots, we got that picture of the orc. It was so cartoony. And I'll put a picture on the screen of like when the game was first announced and now. If you just look at the orc, like the huge fat, World of Warcraft like orc that they first announced, and then you see a screenshot of the orc now, just crazy difference, just so different. And obviously I like the new version better. The old one just looks so cartoony and just like nothing we had seen in tests, just so not tests, and the orcs now just look so much better. Yeah, so like I said, the graphics I have nothing to complain about. It's just completely fantastic, and I think the people who have been complaining about the graphics are people who come from an Elder Scrolls background and don't understand that MMOs can't have as good graphics as Skyrim have. And people have been complaining about that, but I'd say, obviously the graphics aren't as good as Skyrim. That would just be really impossible with the technology we have right now, but I think these graphics are not pretty close, but I think for an MMO, this was the best they could do, and in terms of that, I think they did a really great job. And not on par with Skyrim, but definitely, in the same league as Skyrim, I'd say. So now let's talk about the voice acting and audio. So this great background music as always. I know Jeremy Soule did the main theme at least. I don't know if he did all the music, but they just always do a great music with Elder Scrolls games, and they did in this one too. The background music is great just to play with. It's just so awesome. In the background, you get all of those moments that you had in Skyrim where the music was so beautiful, and it made exploration even more fun. So yeah, music is perfect. In terms of the voice acting, it's so awesome that this game is fully voiced. It makes it feel so much more like a test game. Really great, and the voice acting is really good. I'd say it's as good as any other test game we've had. So really great, and really just as promised, fully voice acted, really great game. So my one issue is that not with the voice acting, but more with the dialogue in general. Most NPCs don't have a lot to say. Compared to what NPCs would say in Skyrim, I think they have a lot less. A lot of times, just random NPCs will just have like one sentence to say, and you can't even say anything except goodbye. So that's a problem, and also I think even when you have like a big NPC in the game, like maybe one of the main characters, there's not a lot of branching dialogue. When you say something, you really don't get a choice how to say it. There are a couple paths you can take, there's a couple like questions you can ask, but nothing where you just have to say one thing, but you get a choice of how to say it, like we had in Skyrim. And that's kind of a problem, that's a big problem, especially for role-playing. If you want to make a character and make it the way you want it, if you just have to say one thing that your character probably wouldn't say, it's a big problem, and I see this as one of the biggest problems with Elder Scrolls Online right now, is that there's usually just one route to, say, and sometimes you have more than one dialogue option, except they're not the same thing, as in Skyrim where there was like one thing, except you could say it multiple ways. That's just not in the Elder Scrolls Online. It's a huge problem, and unfortunately it's way too late for them to fix it. I just wish they had thought about it ahead of time. It's easy to say that. In a lot of MMOs, we get the wall of text, and it's just like, okay, accept the quest. In this one, you can, ask some questions, so definitely better than a lot of MMOs out there, but not as good as a test game at all. And it's one of the things I'm most disappointed with, unfortunately. So now let's talk about the questing in general. So first off, let me say that ZeniMax is really focused on, distractionary gameplay, where you're on one quest and, you meet some other person and it leads you to another quest, and they definitely accomplish that. There's a load of quests in every zone of the game, and really it just, gets to feel overwhelming, which is good. You start off doing one thing, and then 2 hours later you still haven't finished that quest, but you finished like 5 others. There's just so much stuff to do, and all the quests take you across the map. So let me just say that ZeniMax, great job to you on that. There's a lot of quests in this game, a lot of side quests, and really just they did a great job with that. There are some problems with the quest system though, and one thing I think is the mark quest. So it's not like a mini map where it shows you where all the quests are, but on your compass you can see where there are quests, and all the quests are mapped. Every NPC that will give you a quest has a little icon over his head. Every letter that you pick up that'll give you a quest has a little thing on it. Really just you have to go to one of those to get a quest, and it kind of ruins exploration to a point where you're just going from quest to quest, and you're really not focused on going around the world looking for people to talk to get a quest. And I think that's a problem. In a thing like Skyrim, you'd walk around the city and talk to people just to try to find a cool quest, where in this you could just look on your map and find it. And that's one of the problems that I think is they kind of went for a more MMO approach rather than an Elder Scrolls approach with it. And it is a problem because, like I said, you're really not exploring the world. I feel like you're kind of just going from one quest to another. That being said, the quests do take you across the map, so a lot of the time you'll have to cross the map to get to a place, and on the way you'll find a bunch more quests. And in that way you will go around, the zone and find a lot of things. But really, I think it'd be better off if they really just took away the icons. And I know they have talked about being able to modify the UI, so you might be able to do that, but I'm just not sure, and I really hope you are able to, because that is a problem. So now let's just talk about the quests in general. So the quests I liked the quests, and I've heard some people complaining about them, but I thought they were pretty good. I don't think they were all as good as the Skyrim quests, maybe not as unique. That being said, they weren't really the traditional MMO quests where you had to go kill X number of enemies. They were pretty unique, and they all had a pretty good storyline. So overall, I was pretty impressed with the quest system, and I liked it pretty good. I don't think all the quests were, like I said, as unique as Skyrim, but they definitely had a unique feel, and none of them felt like they were really repetitive. One thing that the quest system had that I liked a lot, or just the quest in general, was that there were a lot of choices at the end of a quest. You'd have to choose how to do things, and a lot of the choices weren't just like black and white in terms of, morals. A lot of them I had to stare at the screen for a couple minutes thinking about what to do. And they did a really good job with this, and this is one of the things I think they improved on a lot. I think it has a lot of choice in terms of the quests, and you really get to define your character. In terms of role-playing, that's really important, and just in general, the choices were really good, and really, like I said, not easy to decide between. And I really like that, and I think they did a really good job with that. Questing really is a necessary part of the game because you do get the most XP from quests. You don't get that much XP from just killing monsters and things like that, but completing a quest will a lot of times get you halfway to the next level. So questing definitely is a really necessary thing. You're not going to find people just standing around a place where monsters are generated to, grind some XP. Definitely a lot of people are going to be questing, and that's good. So yeah, I just love the quest system in general. Probably the most memorable quest I was on was like I had to defend this city in Morrowind, I think. And it was just an awesome battle between the Ebonheart Pact and the Daggerfall Covenant. I was running around the city, going under the city. It really reminded me of Oblivion when you were defending Kavach. It really just felt really, very tense, and it really felt like I was the center of a huge battle, which I really liked. So like I said, the questing is just really awesome, the quests are just really good. Now let's talk about the main story. So when you start the story, you're escaping from Cold Harbor, as most of you guys know, and from there you end up on the starter island. And from the starter island, you really just ignore the main story, and it's all about finishing the quest to get off the starter island. And even after that, you'll end up at a main zone. And even at that main zone, you're still gonna ignore the main story. It's not until I'd say about after you finish about half of the side quests, or you at least made a pretty good dent in them, that the main story starts to kick in. And the main story is good. It's kind of the traditional, kind of good versus evil, very test feeling, and I like the main story a lot. I didn't get that far into it just because I didn't want to, spoil it for myself. But I did like it a lot, and I found it, really fun. The main story is solo, if you guys didn't know, and that helped it feel very, Elder Scrolls-y, because obviously we've all played the Elder Scrolls stories solo, and so having a solo main story really made it feel a lot more Elder Scrolls, and I really liked that. So in terms of the main story, 2 thumbs up, I really liked it. Let's go into the crafting. So the crafting is just such an awesome part of this game. A really deep crafting system. And what they've talked about before is like 4 professions, but when I played the beta there were actually 6, and they haven't mentioned this, and I haven't heard anyone else mention this, so I'm a little confused. But yeah, from what I know, there are 6 professions, and that's going to be woodworking, armor smithing, weaponsmithing, alchemy, enchanting. There was also like a cloth sort of crafting where I think you made robes, maybe light armor for more of a mage type build, and there was also provisioner. So yeah, definitely a lot of professions, and a lot of MMOs we see like 3, but this one has a lot. And all of them were really deep. They could be a little taunting to get into at first, but once you got into it, there was a lot of different options, and each one has their own skill line. Really, they exhausted a really good job with the crafting system, and I can definitely see myself getting really deep into crafting. So now let's talk about the exploration, and this might be the biggest problem with the game right now. So the biggest thing that hurts exploration in this game is the zone system. So I saw this coming when they announced it. I'm sure all of you guys did too. The zone system just really hurts the Elder Scrolls, because the Elder Scrolls probably the biggest part of the game is that it's open world, and open world is basically what the Elder Scrolls is. It's one of the probably the biggest part of all the games. The ability just to run in one direction, and you really can't do that, especially when you just start off on this really small starter island where you kind of learn the basics. But I feel like the starter island really wasn't necessary because you kind of learn the basics when you're escaping from Cold Harbor. I feel like exploration was hurt in this game. I felt like, whereas in Skyrim, I did the main quest a little bit, but after that I kind of just ran around doing side quests, and that felt awesome. You're definitely more on rails in the Elder Scrolls Online. You're really just going from one zone, finishing all the side quests there, moving to the next zone, moving to the next zone, moving to the next zone. And it really it feels like you're on rails, and whereas the other Elder Scrolls games we felt so much freedom. And even though the zones are really big, I still don't think they're big enough to justify zoning them in. I feel like it would have been so much better if the game was just open world. And you can, go from zone to zone once you get off the Star Island, but it's really hard considering, other zones are higher level, and if you're level 9, you're gonna get demolished in a level 20 zone, so that's a pretty big problem. Yeah, so exploration is definitely hurt in this game. There are reasons to go exploring, like sky shards is one, even though I never saw myself running around just to get sky shards. And the one thing that would make you explore a lot is to find new quests, except like I said, all the quests are marked, so there's not a huge reason to do that. You can find crafting recipes and crafting, items around the world, which is another great reason to explore. But really, exploration is just the major thing that kind of got lost, I feel, in the tradition from Elder Scrolls to a single-player game to an MMO. So now let's briefly talk about the characters in the game. The characters are really awesome, and characters in the Elder Scrolls games have always been really, developed and really good. I feel like the Elder Scrolls is definitely, in the same category as Skyrim, maybe even more. Every character you meet, even the small ones, had a really, distinctive feel. Some of them were still really memorable to me, like, I don't know his name, but the crazy guy in Cold Harbor you met, he was awesome. And really just the great voice acting really pulls it together. All the characters were really deep and really great, and just really memorable, and I really love the characters in this game, just like every other Elder Scrolls game. Let's talk about the combat now. So, combat is probably the biggest part of an MMO, arguably, and I really love the combat. Some people have been complaining about it, but I think it really is probably the funnest combat I've ever had in an MMO. So I was primarily using the bow just because I'm an archery guy in Elder Scrolls, and I know a lot of people have been complaining about the bow. Personally, I just loved it. I had so much fun with the bow. I just thought the combat was so great. I think the hotbar is definitely not the focus point, considering that your major attacks are on the mouse, and the hotbar really is for special powers. In other MMOs, I find myself, staring at my keyboard, hitting, mashing buttons. But in this game, I was so much more focused on the world, and that's so important in an Elder Scrolls game. Sneaking is awesome, first person is awesome, the combat just is so great in this game. It really is just, head and shoulders above any other MMO I've played, and really just so great. I just really loved it. It felt more Elder Scrolls to me than it felt MMO, which is so important. I don't think everyone will agree with me, but I just felt so, focused on the screen and not focused on the keyboard, which is so important. And that brings me to UI. So the UI is really awesome, minimal. The only thing that's constantly on the screen is the compass, which really helps exploration. You see like a black tower in the distance because we haven't found it yet, and you feel the need to go look at it. So really just the compass was awesome, and other than that, there's nothing that's always on the screen. When you're in combat, the hotbar will pop up, but it goes away when you're not, and just really minimal UI, and that's so strange in the MMO world. But they did a great job with the UI, and so minimal, and really just always looking into the world, which is so great. The menu system also felt pretty familiar, because when you paused it, you got a front view of your character, just like in Oblivion. Really easy to handle, and really oriented towards PC, which is so great, because, Skyrim, the menu was a lot more orientated towards consoles, and I think it was a lot better this way. So I really liked it. And let's get into the skills. So there was a good amount of skills, a good amount of skill lines. One thing I love was the morph system. I love being able to tailor the skills to my style of play even further. And you know, it was important to decide which way you want to go. But I really liked the morph system, and I think it helped define your character even more in terms of gameplay, which I really liked. Some of the skill lines I really liked are gone, like lockpicking and pickpocketing, but some of those might be added later on. A lot of the skills are based on your class, which is a lot different than Skyrim. But some of the skills were really cool, and I really liked a lot of them. You know, there's also a skill line for all the crafting professions, as I mentioned earlier. You know, a race one. The guilds you join, you can get new ones. But that's pretty cool, and you know, overall I think the skill system was pretty good. So overall, just for the, you know, my overall impressions for the beta, I have to say I really loved it, and I just can't wait to play more of it. You know, I found it really addicting, and I really dreaded when my beta session was ending, just because I really loved the game. I got lost in the world. Overall, I just loved it, and I can't wait to get back in. That being said, there were some small problems. Like I said, the dialogue didn't have enough branching, and I just think an unzoned world would have been so much better. And it does feel like you're on rails in terms of questing and stuff like that. Unfortunately, I didn't get to play the PvP, which I know it kind of sucks, because I got to level 9 with my first character. I think I played like 7 hours or 6 hours, and then, you know, the beta ended, so I was like, okay, you know, next time I get the beta, I'll just pick up that character. And for some reason, the next beta I got into was just my character wasn't there, so I had to start over. And again, I got to like level, you know, 9. I almost got to 10 when the beta ended. I was really frustrated, but I never got to play PvP. But from what I've heard, people seem to like it. So I can't, you know, give you my thoughts about PvP, but from what I heard, people seem to like it. Like I said, though, just love the game, and I just can't wait to play it, and I just can't wait to play it. That's all I really can say about it. So that's really just my impressions of the beta. Now let's talk about the overall, you know, reviews that the game has been getting. And overall, the reviews that the people have given the game, or the impressions I should say, have been pretty negative. You know, I watched a lot of them, you know, GameTrailers.com, ShoddyCast, IGN, GameSpot. A lot of the big ones, people, you know, they had mixed feelings about it, but overall, it was pretty negative. And I was kind of confused about it, because you know, I played the beta, and yeah, there were some problems, but I felt like people maybe made a bigger deal about the problems than they should have. I think people didn't focus on the things they liked as much as they do, and it's understandable that people want to give criticism to ZOS, and I completely understand that, and I think there are some things that should have been improved with the game, but overall I really liked it, and a lot of people seem to have generally negative things to say about it. And I think the main reason for this is a lot of people were comparing it to another Elder Scrolls game, which I really just don't think you can do. I think a lot of people expected more of an Elder Scrolls game and less of an MMO, and I think a lot of people were let down. I think the biggest complaints were lack of exploration. A lot of people hated that. A lot of people hated the starter island, and a lot of people, just like me, didn't like how the game felt like it was on rails. Overall, people just thought there was like a lack of freedom, which I completely get, I completely agree with, but overall I think that's really maybe one of the only things that's wrong with the game, like I said, other than the dialogue problems. I love the game, and I was a little confused, honestly, and I don't really know what to say. I think, like I said, a lot of people compared it to something like Skyrim, and they wanted Skyrim but an MMO, and I just don't think they were ever going to get that. Personally, I think, you know, ZeniMax did as good as they could bringing the Elder Scrolls to an MMO. And obviously not everyone's going to be happy with the product. Some people are going to want more of an MMO. Some people are going to want more of a Skyrim feel. But in terms of what they did, I think it was a really nice middle ground. But I think some people are complaining that it didn't have enough group content, and those are the MMO people talking. And some people said it didn't have enough, you know, open world, and I think those are the more Skyrim people talking. And I think they tried to make everyone happy, which is never going to happen. But I think they did enough that it was a really good mix. And personally, like I said, I just really like it. So even if like the Elder Scrolls fans can appreciate it as an Elder Scrolls game, I think there's no doubt that it's still a great MMO. So hopefully people can appreciate that. And I think the real reason we got so many, you know, criticisms of the game is just because people care so much about the game. They want to see it exactly the way they want it. So it makes sense that people would, you know, give as many criticisms as possible before the game comes out. But I think a lot of people will be enjoying the game, and I don't think people should think that the game isn't going to be popular, because I really think it will be. Because, like I said, I just think it's a great MMO and a great Elder Scrolls game. So that's pretty much all I have to say about the NDA being lifted in the beta. So let's go into the developer question of the week.
Hello. I'm Eric Mabry, and I'm a senior QA tester for ZeniMax Online Studios. As you battle the creatures that emerge from a dark anchor, Mullig Ball will taunt you during the struggle. If you could come up with an intimidating and menacing taunt, tell us what it would be.
So personally, I always like the traditional spit taunt. I always think spitting on someone is cool, I guess. So if we're talking about a taunt that a player could do, I would definitely pick, spitting on another player. I think that'd be kind of cool. But that's just something that I like personally. But if they're talking about like a taunt that another character is gonna be doing, like like they were saying, like I don't know, like a Daedra follower, a Mullig Ball. I have to think about that. I guess I don't know. I guess I wouldn't really care. I guess again I have to go with spitting, just because I guess kind of the traditional taunt, and I guess it's what I like the most. I don't think that was too great of a question, so I'm not going to focus on it too much. One thing I did want to mention to you guys is that I might be giving away another copy of The Elder Scrolls Online. I shouldn't say another copy. The person who actually won the giveaway hasn't responded to me yet, and I don't want the giveaway to go to waste. So I'm going to give him like 3 more days to respond to me, and if he doesn't, I'll give it away probably next Elder Scrolls Online Saturday. So if you guys are like about to pre-order, you might just want to wait a week, because I am just gonna, if he doesn't respond, I'm just gonna have to give it away again to another subscriber. So like I said, if you guys were like about to buy it, I just hold off for a week. I already pre-ordered the Imperial Edition, and I'm really excited for that. But yeah, guys, like I said, just wait if you're about to pre-order. I just wanted to let you guys know. And that pretty much does it for this episode of Elder Scrolls Online Saturday. So this was actually probably the longest episode we've ever had. But that pretty much does it for the episode. And in terms of video this week, I know like I said, I've been kind of slacking just because I've been sick. But hopefully we're going to have a video every day this week to make up for it. Tomorrow I think we're going to be doing a video on the new Sons of Anarchy video game, which is really awesome. That was just announced. I'm going to be going over what I want to see from it. And Sons of Anarchy is like my favorite TV show of all time. I'm a huge TV fan, actually. I love video games probably more, but I'm also a huge TV fan. I love probably Sons of Anarchy the most, but I also am a huge Game of Thrones fan. I don't know, really any good show. True Detective I've been watching a lot lately. Hannibal I'm a huge fan of. Really just any good drama I'm a pretty big fan of. So so I'm definitely excited for the Sons of Anarchy video game, and that'll be tomorrow when I'm doing a video on that. And then probably Monday we'll be doing a video covering Thief and everything about that game. I am really excited about that just because I'm a huge stealth fan too. And then I guess I'll just take it from there, but probably a video every day this week just because I have a lot of spare time this week, and I, again, kind of want to make up for not posting really that much this week. So that, like I said, pretty much is it for the video. Hopefully you guys are really excited for Elder Scrolls Online, and since the NDA has been dropped, make sure you guys tell me in the comments what you guys thought of it, because I assume most of you guys got into the beta, because by the end of it they were, kind of giving it out to a lot of people. But if you guys didn't, don't worry, because there is another beta round coming up, and I'm sure if you haven't gotten it already, you'll probably get in. They're not going to do an open beta, actually. They decided to skip that, but I'm sure they'll let a lot of people into the next beta round. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.